I'm a naturopathic doctor. This is our live health Q&A. I do this every night where I go live and answer your health questions. So tonight, I'll just pick a topic and discuss it on my whiteboard with you guys. But ask me any questions, just drop it in the chat box and I will answer them for you. Okay, good. Camera's good, so we are all set. So if you are new here, welcome to my channel. This is Let's Talk Health. I'm Dr. Amanda, I'm a naturopathic doctor, and I provide holistic health tips, education, just to give you guys some information about certain health conditions that you're going through. If you have questions about supplements, vitamins, certain health conditions, just feel free to drop it in the chat and I will answer it for you. Okay, so I wanted to talk tonight about cholesterol. So we'll talk specifically about high cholesterol. So this would be if you did blood work and you saw that your cholesterol was high. So there's HDL. When you do a typical, like let's say a lipids panel, it's basically has different markers. So there's HDL, there's LDL, and then there's also triglycerides. So these are typically what you would see on your cholesterol panel. So if any of these are high, actually if these two are high, triglycerides and LDL, those are the ones you want to lower those. HDL is actually more beneficial to high density lipoprotein, as that's what it stands for. So when you're doing blood work, let's say you were told you had high cholesterol, you most likely either had a total cholesterol that was too high, an LDL or a triglyceride that was too high. And we always want to look at the ratio of your total cholesterol to HDL, because you could have a good amount of HDL, and even if your total cholesterol is a little bit on the higher end, that would be okay. We're just looking at that breakdown. So you want the total cholesterol to HDL ratio, ideally less than 4. Even better could be a little bit like less than 3.5, but that's kind of what you want to be looking at for that. So what is cholesterol? It is a molecule that's in our body and actually has a lot of importance to it. It are like hormones, like our sex hormones, estrogen and progesterone, testosterone. They do use cholesterol as like part of it, like as a backbone. So it is an important thing to have. We don't completely not want cholesterol, but when it gets too high, then potentially it could cause some cardiovascular risk. So what we want to do is just making sure that we are having optimal levels of that. So let's talk about what we can do if we were to have high cholesterol. So if anybody's just joining us, hi and welcome. Happy Friday night. I'm Dr. Amanda, naturopathic doctor. This is Let's Talk Health. It's our live Q&A live stream. And if you are new to the channel, be sure to subscribe, like the video, join our health community here, and ask me any questions in the chat. It could be cholesterol related or it could be something else, whatever you guys feel like chatting about. Last night we talked a lot about herbs for stress and anxiety. Previous nights we had some great questions about bowel movements and diarrhea, so feel free to ask me anything that you are interested in learning about. Okay, so what can we do if we have high cholesterol? The number one thing is going to be diet. So for high cholesterol, what you want to let's say we're going to do a plus of like what you want to add in your diet. Fiber. Fiber is very important. So for fiber, you want to aim for 25 to 30 grams a day. A lot of times we're not really hitting those goals. If we think about fiber, it's in a lot of vegetables, it's in fruits. It is going to be in some whole grains. It's going to be in things like nuts and seeds. I'll write these down too. but our traditional diets don't always have that in there. We don't eat a lot of beans, or we might not eat a lot of lentils or nuts and stuff like that. Or if we have vegetables, we're doing low fiber vegetables like lettuce and tomatoes, cucumbers. They don't have fiber in them, so we need to work on having more high fiber veggies and some fruits as well. So that's just kind of one thing to keep in mind, assessing, you know, where you're at with your diet. Typically, most people that I see in practice don't get enough fiber. So, okay, so we want to have fiber. So one really good thing is grounded up flax seeds. Has been shown to be helpful with cholesterol, so ground flax seeds. Chia seeds are also really good as well. Nuts are going to be good. And then in terms of veggies, we're thinking like broccoli, Brussels sprouts, kale, spinach, all those like green leafy veg. And then you can have some whole grains, they'll have fiber in them too. But I would say sticking more to things like quinoa, I guess it's more so a seed. What's it called? Buckwheat. Those are more higher in fiber. So that's kind of what you want to aim for, is getting more veggies, like more plant-based foods. So I'm going to erase this, and then we'll talk about what things you'd want to avoid. So if anybody is just jumping on, hi and welcome. This is Let's Talk Health. It's our live health Q&A where I talk about different health topics and you guys ask me your questions in the live chat. So if you are new here, be sure to like and subscribe, turn on notifications. All the lives do get posted to my channel, so be sure to go check out previous ones if there's a topic. You know, last night we talked about stress. A couple of nights ago I was talking about diarrhea. So anything that you might be interested in, you can always go back and see. But of course, feel free to ask me questions now in the chat and I will answer them for you.
How does ORS drink help dehydration?
Can we look up what that is? I'm not sure what that is. We will get back to you in a moment with that one. I'm not familiar with ORS. You can also let us know in the chat what that is, but we'll try to look it up for you.
It's a oral rehydration solution.
Okay.
Helps treat dehydration caused by diarrhea. It contains water, electrolytes, carbs, and a ratio that helps the body recover.
Yeah, so it sounds like it's mostly like an electrolyte drink. So when you have a dehydration, whether that be diarrhea, vomiting are usually your main source of the dehydration, but could also be like, let's say you were in the sun for too long and you got dehydrated from the sun, you did intense physical activity and you started sweating a lot out. So those are kind of things that could lead to dehydration. So when you're taking something like an oral rehydration solution, it's going to give you those minerals. So electrolytes are basically like your minerals. Sodium, potassium, and calcium are the main ones, and magnesium. So it's basically giving your body those minerals that you would have spotted out or threw up or lost through diarrhea. So that's kind of how it works. So basically gives because your cells, like on a cellular level, your cells need sodium, potassium to work. They need magnesium. So if you are extremely dehydrated and you lost a lot of fluids, sometimes just drinking water is not enough because your cells don't just rely on water, they rely on your electrolytes and minerals. So I hope that answered your question. If you have a follow-up question, just write it down and let us know. And of course, if you're new here...
ORS means a glass of water with a pinch of salt and a spoon of sugar.
Oh, okay, so that's like making your own, it sounds like. So I would say the salt would be okay because it has the sodium, but then you want to balance that out with something like potassium and magnesium. So something like coconut water is high in potassium, so if you want to make your own, you could do coconut water, dilute it with some water, add a pinch of salt, and maybe add some magnesium powder, and then you're getting your own electrolyte drink that way. So I would just say being careful with just salt and sugar because you don't necessarily need the sugar unless like your blood sugar has dropped. But, yeah, great question. Thanks for that. And yeah, if that
Does
was
taking it daily help?
taking it daily. So I wouldn't say like you need to take the electrolytes daily, but they can be helpful in the sense of if somebody's having difficulty with absorbing water. So if you drink water but you notice you're still thirsty, or if you exercise a lot, or if you sweat a lot, if you do have diarrhea, then in that case, electrolytes daily could be beneficial. And then, like I said, just making sure there's a good balance there. So there are electrolyte packs on the market. So there's really popular one. It's the Element, or like LMNT. That one is a high sodium one. So I always say just cautious with that if you have like high blood pressure or kidney issues. There's some other ones like by the brand Nectar and Needed, and those ones typically have a they don't use sugar. They'll use like monk fruit extract or something like that to sweeten it. So yeah, so you could take it daily. I wouldn't say it's needed, but you could. Yeah, but thank you for the question. Okay, and then yes, if that was helpful, be sure to like the video, please. I do appreciate it so much. Thank you guys for the likes and subscribes. We are almost at 8,000 subscribers, so let's see if we can get there tonight. I think we're just like 10 away. So if anybody hasn't joined the community, please feel free to subscribe and turn on your notifications. Okay, so we'll keep the chat open, ask any questions. I'm gonna go back to the cholesterol. So I was talking a little bit about foods that you wanna add in. So if anybody's just joining us, you wanna get like 25 grams of fiber a day, ground flax seeds, chia seeds, leafy greens, nuts, all those plant-based foods are really good. And then what you want to avoid or limit, I wouldn't say you have to completely avoid, but you want to limit fattier meats. So things like a medium ground beef, like you want to do a lean ground beef. I would say choose lean. What else? Things like even bacon or pork is usually fatty. Like the fat on steak. So just like choosing leaner sources of protein. So choosing things like chicken, fish, turkey, and then lean ground beef or lean steak. So just like trimming off that would be kind of what you want for avoiding. The other thing, certain like oils. So actually coconut oil you might want to limit. Palm oil. So any sort of like snacks or pastries, because you want to look at the ingredients and they might contain something like a palm oil in there, or lard or shortening. So those ones you want to limit, and choosing more so oils like olive oil, avocado oil. I mean, avocados are still high in fat, but it's still good. So that's what I would say for cholesterol in terms of diet. Yeah, just making sure you're choosing more leaner foods, more fiber. That's going to really help manage your cholesterol. Okay. So if anybody's just joining us, hi and welcome. This is Let's Talk Health. I'm Dr. Amanda. I am a naturopathic doctor. I have a holistic approach, so basically trying to focus on diet, lifestyle, getting to the root cause, using preventative medicine, using herbs and supplements and minerals. So if you have any questions about that, feel free to drop them in the chat. And of course, if you're new here, be sure to subscribe and join our community.
Does growth and weight inherited from parents are similar to them?
So you mean like if depending on what your parents' weight
Yeah, is
is like?
it inherited?
Yeah, it
Because-
definitely can be.
Because I'm thin, but my brother, who is 4 years younger than me, is big, double the size of me. Why? Please tell me. I need helps to gain muscle and good cholesterol.
Yeah, so it can be genetics for sure. But then it might not even be your parents. You might even want to look at potentially like grandparents. Let's say maybe your brother is inheriting more from a side of the family that is a heavier side, whereas you are more following the lean side. It does play a role, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you can't change that. However, there are people that just will put on fat easier or put on muscle easier than other people based on the way their genetics is. And same thing with, of course, height, right? That has a lot to do with genetics too. So what I would say in terms of like trying to put on weight and muscle, we kind of talked about this a little bit in a previous one, but if you're wanting to improve muscle mass, like the main thing is making sure you're eating enough proteins, fats, and healthy carbohydrates, and then exercising and doing weight training to help with building that. If you are like underweight and you're trying to gain weight, you can assess where your calories intake is at, and always do a bulk of calories, something like we talked about in the previous video, like doing a shake with weight gaining protein with some like healthy fats. Fats are high in calories, and they're still good for you. So something like adding nut butters or avocados in your smoothie, using different fruits and stuff to increase the bulk of that, using a milk with some fat in it. Those would all be good ways of increasing that. And then just making sure that you are trying to do it more so in a healthy way. So I don't really recommend like going to, McDonald's and just eating a bunch of calories that way. You want to make sure you're still eating a healthy amount of calories in a whole foods diet. But that would be for the diet. And then of course, weight training, strength training. Maybe you need to look at resources online, different people that focus specifically on exercises, making sure you're doing the exercises right. There are a lot of experts on YouTube that have great videos about that. So if you had a follow-up question about that, let me know. I think that answered everything, but yeah, if you have a follow-up question, let me know about that one. And then I think you said that you want to improve your HDL. So to improve HDL would be your healthy fats, like olive oil is really great for improving HDL. And then exercise, like cardiovascular exercise, can improve HDL. Yeah, great question. Thank you for that one. Okay. So I talked about diet. We can talk about now, number 2 would be exercise. And then if anybody has any questions about anything else, just drop them in the chat box. Okay, so exercise for cholesterol, pretty much exercise for any sort of health condition is you want to do a mix of cardio and weights or strength training. Ideally, 30 minutes a day. 5 times a week, I would say would be a good goal. Depending on like what your current physical activity is, if you're not doing anything at all, you want to just be mindful of that. And that goes not even just for cholesterol, but for anything. And the person that was asking about like building muscle, if you don't work out at all, like you need to gradually like get there. You can't just all of a sudden go and start with like a high weights or high reps, because you could injure yourself, and then you're gonna feel sore, and then you're not gonna want to go back to the gym or back to your workout for like a week. So it's always better to kind of like start slow and get up there. So maybe if you're completely sedentary, you start with 10 minutes a day of something. You go for a walk 10 minutes, maybe you do 10 push-ups a day, and then you slowly get there, and you will get there. As long as you're consistent and stuff, you definitely will get there. So that's what I would say for cholesterol. And this could just be for general health as well. Cardio, weights. Yeah. Okay.
Give examples of food for protein, only fruits and veggies.
Only fruits and veggies for protein? So fruits, I wouldn't say anything really in terms of fruits. Fruits don't have protein, but in terms of vegetables, for protein, If you're also, because you can also clarify if you're asking about like plant-based foods, because there are like, you know, nuts and seeds and legumes that have protein, but we can talk about vegetables that have more protein. Broccoli is one of them. And then the other one, kale and spinach. I would say those would be your top ones for vegetables that have protein. Fruits, sorry to say, but they really don't. And then if we're looking at like plant-based, other plant sources, things like edamame. I hope I spelled that right. Edamame. That one has actually pretty good source of protein. Things like quinoa. I know it's not a vegetable, but these are some other options. What else? Nuts, seeds, those you're gonna get some. Like hemp hearts are actually really good. I can just write that separately. Those I like as like my top sources of like plant-based protein for sure. Oh, then yeah, you can also do like beans and lentils. But yeah, great question. Feel free to ask me a follow-up question if that was helpful. If you had another question about protein and different sources. And then if anybody's just joining us, I'm Dr. Amanda. This is Let's Talk Health Live. It's our health Q&A where you guys ask me questions in the chat and I answer them for you. If you are new to our community, be sure to subscribe, turn on notifications. Let's see if we can get to 8,000 subscribers tonight. And of course, as I kind of mentioned at the beginning, I'm just here to provide you with educational tips, information, answer any questions in a holistic way, and try to help you out. Okay, so if there's any other questions, just drop them in the chat. So we talked about, somebody asked about vegetables for protein, so. This will be posted on like my channel after. So if if I'm erasing something, but you still need to write it down, you can always go back and watch it. Okay, so back to cholesterol. We talked about diet, we talked about exercise. Last thing we can talk about are some supplements. Or herbs, whatever you want to call them. So there's one thing called CoQ10, coenzyme Q10. This is really good for mitochondria health. So your mitochondria are what support energy in your body. And it's part of like this chain called the electron transport chain. It works there. But it can specifically help with cardiovascular health as well, because your heart and your cardiovascular system, needs your mitochondria support. Especially if you are on statin medication. So that's a cholesterol medication. So if you're not familiar, like atorvastatin is one of them. If you're on any of those, then you do want to take CoQ10. Of course, check with your doctor, but because statins deplete CoQ10, I'm just gonna make a note of that. Statin meds reduce this. So if you're on a statin, it can be beneficial to take it. Statins can cause like muscle pain and cramping, and a lot of times it's because CoQ10's down. If you take it, it can help out with that. So that's one supplement I would recommend. The other one I would say would be magnesium and zinc. These are two really great minerals, great for the cardiovascular system, great for immune support. Those ones would be beneficial. What else? In terms of herbs, we're looking at supporting liver health, because if we think about our liver, it basically will take the fat molecules and process everything. So if you have high cholesterol, you have metabolic disease, fatty liver, we're going to want to work on liver health. So for liver, I like dandelion, milk thistle, and artichoke. This one is not talked about quite often, but you can get artichoke. This, you can get them in like a tincture usually, or capsules. I know that like a combination of these, or maybe some other things are in there. Turmeric is a really good one too. So herbs that help with supporting cholesterol, cardiovascular, liver support are those herbs there. So that is everything I would say for cholesterol. So just to recap, diet high in fiber, low in those fatty foods, exercising at least 5 times a day, sorry, 5 times a week for 30 minutes a day, a combination of strength and cardio, and then supplements, CoQ10, magnesium, zinc, and some herbs. So, okay, so that's all I wanted to talk about tonight. Let's see if there's any questions in the chat, and I will answer them, and if not, I will sign off for tonight and see you guys tomorrow.
Is turmeric good for cholesterol?
Yeah, so I did mention that turmeric is good too. So, turmeric is good too. So it's a great anti-inflammatory, it's great for the liver health, as I mentioned, good for overall cardiovascular health, so yeah.
Correlation of mental health, diet, and exercise. How to improve mental health with which foods? I hear high fat. Is that true?
Okay, so correlation of mental health, diet, and exercise. So yes, there is a correlation there. So let's talk about exercise. A lot of times, if there's mental health concerns, if you have a low mood, if you're anxious, if there's something else going on, people don't want to go and exercise, but it's actually really beneficial to exercise for mental health. It is a way of getting endorphins, which are those feel-good molecules in our body. So exercise can be so beneficial. Walking has been studied to shown to really help out with depression and anxiety. Such a great help out with that. So I would say for sure try and get some sort of exercise in. And I usually recommend just doing something that you enjoy. It can be anything. Let's say you like swimming, or you like boxing, or you like Pilates class, whatever it is. Just do something that you enjoy, so you're actually going to do it, and maybe you need to try that out and see what that's like. So for sure, exercise for mental health is huge. And then your second part of the question was foods. So yeah, so for foods, for supporting mental health, you are right in the sense of saying that fats can support mental health. Healthy fats are basically good for our brain, because our brain has a lot of fat molecules in it. So in terms of foods for mental health, yeah, so things you're right, avocado would be great, olive oil, and almonds. I would say those would be my top ones to help out there. Then you want to look at antioxidants, anti-inflammatory foods. So if we're looking at things like herbs, so things like ginger, garlic, and turmeric. And then berries would be really good too. And beets, really good antioxidants in those, pomegranate. And then also just getting some protein, so lean protein. Eggs. Eggs have choline, which is really good for your brain. So that's what I would say for mental health. I hope I answered your question, and of course, if you are new here, be sure to subscribe, join our health community, turn on notifications, and if anybody's just tuning in, this is Let's Talk Health Live.
Sometimes I get pain below my left lung when I inhale fast. It feels like some air is trapped in there. It occurs sometimes. Is it something serious?
So I would say that it could be lung related, potentially. It could be muscular related, you have muscles in your ribs, and you also have your diaphragm there. And then there's also the stomach around that area too. So if you've been experiencing this and it is painful, I would say it's always great to check it out, because whenever we're thinking of chest pain, lung pain, we always want to figure out what's going on. So if you get an x-ray or imaging, whatever they recommend, or even just having your lungs listened to see if potentially could even be like a lung infection, like pneumonia, if it's in your lower lung. That would be good to check out. But if all is clear, it might be like just tightness. When you're taking like a deep breath, and it could be like tightness in the muscles in that area. So doing something like magnesium baths, like Epsom salt baths, or like topical magnesium can help with reducing any muscle tension. If it is more so to do with like your digestive health, you might be also experiencing other gut health issues like acid reflux or bloating. So I would just say keeping those in mind. But I do think it would be something worth getting checked out. Yeah, thank you for the question. Good question. Okay.
What's the best fish oil? Is it cod? I started taking it for improved mood.
So cod liver oil, I think that's what you're mentioning. That is a good source of fish oil. It's usually a fattier source, and it would have more things like some vitamin A and vitamin D and vitamin E in there. But if you're doing just a fish oil, you want to look at DHA and EPA, generally a 3-to-1. No, the other way around. 3-to-1 of EPA. That way. And then your source of this is really important too. So the source you want usually from like, oh man, anchovies. Anchovies and sardines are usually like where you want. A good cod liver is fine as well. But if you're looking at like a good quality fish oil, anchovies and sardines, you don't want it from something like tuna or I don't know, some other sort of fish. But yeah, great question. Okay, let's see if we have any other questions. If not, we're gonna wrap this up within the next couple of minutes. So I think we're all good. All the questions have been answered. So I will be back tomorrow night, guys. Thank you all so much for your likes, for your subscribes, for the questions. I do appreciate everything, and I hope you all have a wonderful Friday evening, and I'll see you back tomorrow.